Let's talk to our students about personality traits, the basics. We are all different, and that's probably something that you have been telling your student since they were 3 or 4 years old. But something as they continue to grow older, they tend to forget that not everybody is just like them. What's awesome about these differences in each of us is that the closer we become to that person, it creates a bond. It's that whole adage of differences attract, and it's true. That bond can create respect and authenticity in a relationship, and we want our students to understand that and enjoy that, not just for these years in school, but throughout their whole life. The breakdown. We want our students to understand that who they are is unique. And I don't think that's something that I just thought up in my head today. I'm sure, like I said before, you have been explaining and encouraging your student in that truth since they were little. We loved to show them ways that they are unique, ways that they are special. But them embracing that as a teenager is huge, because in a world where everything seems to want to look exactly the same as someone else, it's important that they understand who they are is special and unique, exactly how they are. But something else we want our students to understand is it's not just about us. We want them to be able to look out with eyes for other people, and who other people are is valuable. Yes, they're different than us. Yes, they come from different backgrounds than us, but that is just as valuable as our uniqueness. And that's important for our students to understand. Growth in relationships comes from us being unique and embracing that, and other people being valuable to us. And the marriage of those two things, our uniqueness and other people's value, brings growth in relationships. That should be a goal for us as parents, to have students who enjoy their relationships, not just for the short years that they're in school, but for their whole life. There are about as many different ways to explain personality traits as there are personalities. So you can find any kind of assessment online if you would like to go more deeper. But basically, there are 2 types of people. There are introverted people and there are extroverted people. And within that, there's some other traits that come out of that. But let's talk about each one of those. The introverted person. This is a person who is concerned primarily with his or her inner thoughts and feelings. The introvert person thinks about things, is more contemplative, and concentrates more on how they feel than necessarily outside of that. The extroverted person, the complete opposite, right? This person is concerned primarily with what is going on outwardly, whether that's physically or socially. They pay attention to how other people feel. Everything about them seems to be expressed outwardly instead of inwardly. So you see the difference between extroverted and introverted. Have a conversation with your student about that. Where did they fall within those 2 groups of people? And then from there, we can explore some other personality traits. There are 2 types of introverted people. Now, of course, you might change with environment, with different people that you're around, but for the most part, introverts fall into 2 categories of people. The first type is the loyal and indecisive person. This person is the true blue person, a friend for a lifetime, but oftentimes have a hard time making decisions. The other type of introvert is the calculated and careful person. This is that person who thinks through everything they do. They might be able to make a decision a little bit more easily, but it takes them a long time to get to that decision. They need things in calculated structure order. So those 2 types of introverts is a way to help your students see, okay, if they're introverted, they think of things more inwardly and their own thoughts and feelings, where do they fall with those 2 types of people? And that would be a fun thing for you to explore with your student and talk about ways that they are strong and maybe ways that they can grow. There are also 2 types of extroverts. Remember, our extroverts are the ones who everything is outward. The first type of extrovert is the demanding and decisive person. These are the people who can make a decision on a whim, but sometimes they demand too much of other people. They might be called kind of bossy, but they're incredible leaders. The second type of extrovert is the charismatic and optimistic person. This is the person that everything is a party. Everything has to be fun or they won't do it. This is the person that the glass is always half full and sees the light at everything. But sometimes they can be misled to follow when they should be a strong leader. So talk to your student about that. Are they an extrovert? And where do they fall within that? Again, keep in mind, this isn't a box that they have to fit in. There is room for growth. There is room for bleeding into other personalities. But for the most part, this will give you guys a guideline to kind of walk through and explore more of who they are. One of the biggest things that you need to communicate to your student about these personality traits is there is value in every single one of them. All four of those types, the 2 introverted and the 2 extroverted, they bring such value to us as human beings. They have strengths that a lot of us need. They have weaknesses that they can learn from others. There is value in them. And when your student and when us as parents recognize that value and embrace it, so many things come to light. One of the ways we can value people is through celebrating their differences. If you're like me, I love a party. Birthdays are a big deal, but I have dear friends who that's not the way they celebrate. They want low key. They want one-on-one. So learning to celebrate the way people are different is huge. Steward those differences in your kids. Maybe you have more than one child and you know, just like I do with 3, that each one of them is unique and different. And so stewarding those differences and helping them to embrace themselves is huge. Not only do we want to celebrate and steward those differences, but we want to cultivate a place of respect. If our students can look at other people's differences and respect them, things will be so much easier and their relationships will be so much more healthy. The bottom line, relationships are hard. They're worth it, but they take a lot of work. But we want our students to understand that healthy communication within those relationships will make those relationships even easier. But here's the truth. We can't have healthy communication until we know someone. And a part of these personality traits is getting to know someone who very possibly is different than us. And a part of that is respecting them, being able to communicate, and building a healthy relationship. Something valuable that will help you is if you will share your story. When was a time that maybe you had a friend who was completely different than you and you guys had to work through that struggle? Maybe you're married and you and your spouse could share how different you guys are and how communication is huge, but knowing each other helps that communication happen. We hope this video is helpful. If there's any way that we can help with these personality traits, give you some valuable resources to use, let us know. Text us anytime.